Galispera, or should I say, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Sorry for the bit of a late broadcast today, but I was up bright and breezy, off out on my own, doing a bit of Christmas shopping. And you know what it's like when you're trying to buy stuff for partners and things and family. It's always a bit difficult with them with you. So it's always nice to go out and do it on your own. Well, anyway, I'm in the house on my own. Jane is still out with her mum at the moment. Little picture of Jane's mum's cat. He's called Jet. He's fast asleep at the moment, bless him. And he's a little cutie, he is. So again, we're never far away from cats when we go away as well. So anyway, there you go. Right, okay. I'm going to keep this little broadcast as short as I can. Quick look at the Christmas tree in the background for you. There you go. Feeling very Christmassy at the moment. Can I just say once again, thank you to all those people who have been dropping me little messages and also been just supporting my podcasts as well. And thank you for those people who have also left some very nice comments about how they actually enjoy the podcast, and it kind of keeps them in tune with what's going on here in the UK at the moment, and also obviously with what's going on over in Greece as well. Right, first of all, can I just say a quick thank you to the lovely Amanda for a concise weather forecast. As I quickly scroll up, come on, Ginge, faster. You should have had this prepared before you came on, I know. Anyway, she says, morning, Ginge. Wednesday's weather in Greece, in Zakynthos, partly cloudy with sunshine. Temperatures 14. It's going to feel like 18, she says, with the sun. Lucky you. She says, have a great day. She says she managed to get car exhaust sorted, so it's not as noisy as it was before. Anyway, the weather in Leek, it's been cloudy, no rain, it is dry, and the temperatures, believe it or not, between 4 and -1, although last night it was said that it was supposed to be -3. But again, there was no frost this morning anyway. But again, nice weather. I've got to be honest, at least it's not raining, which is the main thing. Right, okay, let's have a quick look at the COVID infections in the last 24 hours in Greece. I've got to be honest, yesterday marked a momentous day in the way of infections. I'll come on to that in just a tick. Yesterday, you might remember, it was 3,689 infections. Yesterday, 6,242, which was, I think, the highest it has been in a very, very long time. That brings the total now of infections since the pandemic started to 1,044,301. 4 new cases were detected on entry into the country. That was up on the day before, where there had been 3. As far as Omicron cases are concerned, still at the moment 26 Omicron cases confirmed, and they've been in the areas of Crete, Attica and Laconia. So in other words, that number hasn't gone up. But when it comes to the islands at the moment, again, the infection rates, again, are kind of a little bit up and a little bit down and a bit static as well. In Lefkada at the moment, they're down slightly on yesterday. You might remember there were 10 new cases yesterday on Lefkada. Well, today I can report there's been 8 new cases in the last 24 hours. That island is still in the green. Corfu, they've had quite a few new cases. They had 70 on the day before. And yes, today I can report they've had 95 new cases there on that island. That island at the moment is still in dark red. That's the highest level for Greece within the country, and they are still in dark red. When it comes to Kefalonia, they've been basically stable really across the board. Yesterday they had 5. The day before that they had 5 cases, and today I can report 5 cases. That's all they've had. So 15 this week so far for them, and they are in the yellow. Now, as for Zakynthos, we've had a slight increase on new infections. Yesterday we had 6. Today I can report 8, and we are in the amber in Zakynthos. When it comes to deaths at the moment, new deaths at the moment, 75 new deaths in Greece. That was down on the day before, where it was 85 deaths. At the moment, that brings the number now to over 20,000 deaths Greece has had. That's a landmark number. At the moment, the total deaths toll since the pandemic started is 20,055. Again, those people, 95% of them had underlying diseases or were over the age of 70. 70. And as of now, again, no deaths have been linked to the Omicron variant. And again, our condolences to families that are affected at this time, especially being so close to Christmas. It just hits the passing of a family member or a friend even harder than what it would normally be. When it comes to critical cases in hospital, again, that number has gone up slightly from yesterday. Yesterday, I reported 662. Today, I can report 670 cases in incubation across the country with COVID. Of that 670, 414 are male, 256 are male. The average age of those people is about 64 years of age with underlying health conditions or over the age of 70. Now, regarding the vaccination status of those people, 555 of them are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, and 115 of them are fully vaccinated. Right, just a quick snapshot of what's happening here in the UK at the moment while I'm over here. The Greek Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister for the UK, he's ruled out restrictions before Christmas, but insisted the government is monitoring data by the hour. Okay, claims that the initial study by the UK Health Authority has concluded that Omicron variant is milder than Delta. Thank God some common sense is coming through, but it's unclear just how much milder. Anyway, ministers openly are pointing out cases are lower than the dire predictions in some models. You might remember we were talking about that the other day, how they were always going for the worst rather than looking at what was happening on the ground. And as the public is obviously reacting at the moment as well. Now, at the moment, according to the stats at the moment here in the UK, they had 90,629 COVID cases recorded in the last 24 hours in the UK, along with 172 deaths as well. Anyway, the number of people in hospital in the UK with Omicron cases is around about 85 people, and 10 deaths have been recorded from Omicron. You might remember still no detail about any of these people that's passed away with it. And again, you know, people are asking questions, but again, at least Christmas at the moment is still on track to continue as normal. And let's hope Boris sticks to his word. All right. Right, a quick look at the Greek news then. Interestingly, travellers to Greece from the UK and now Denmark, all right, Denmark are going to need a COVID-19 PCR test to enter Greece as part of efforts are there to curb the spread of the corona pandemic, and tests again will have to be no more than 48 hours old. So now it seems Denmark has decided, Greece has decided that Denmark now is a bit of a threat as well. Now, the European Commission on Tuesday adopted rules that will make the European COVID-19 certificate valid for 9 months after the completion of the primary vaccination schedule. So basically what they're saying, once you've had your vaccination jabs, that certificate will be valued for 9 months. At the moment, I think it stands at 6, all right? Anyway, the proposal comes as several EU states introduced additional requirements on travellers in a bid to reduce the spread of Omicron's coronavirus variant. EU Justice Commissioner Dido Reynders told Reuters the EU Commission was against additional requirements and was assessing the measures. Anyway, the new EU rules will be binding on the 27 EU states from February the 1st. The rule can be blocked by a qualified majority of EU governments or a simple majority of the European Parliament members, but officials have said there is sufficient support for it. The rule replaces a non-binding recommendations the EU Commissioner put forward in November. Once the rule is effective, the EU states it will be obliged to let fully vaccinated travellers pass with a valid pass to access their territory. However, an exemption justified by a deterring situation, they could still impose further requirements such as negative tests or quarantines as long as they are appropriate. So what they're saying is the countries still have control over who goes in, who goes out, and if they want to up the ante, the countries still have the right to do that without having to refer to the EU. Now, 7 EU states are currently requiring fully vaccinated travellers from other EU countries to also show a negative COVID-19 test upon arrival, measures some see as damaging the credibility of the EU pass. Now, these states are Italy, Greece, Ireland as well, the Irish Republic, Portugal, Latvia, Cyprus, and Austria. Anyway, Reinders also said, we prefer to use for the freedom of movement in Europe only the certificate without additional measures. So if you've got your certificate that you've had your jabs, you should be able to travel without any problems. However, those 7 countries are obviously saying, no, we want extra checks. Right. Interestingly, the Greek anti-corruption officials have filed a report to a prosecutor after an inspection of a pharmacy that found its owner had issued over 2,000 bogus rapid tests. Inspectors for the National Transparency Authority, in collaboration with officers from the Greek Financial Police Directorate, established that there was no corresponding test numbers for the 2,198 tests uploaded to the National Patient Registry. Now, the pharmacist subsequently submitted invoices for the purchase of a brand of tests. However, that was not being sold at the time by an alleged supplier. In addition to informing the prosecutor, the inspectors have also informed the Independent Public Revenue Authority over possible tax violations. So as you can see, there are still people trying to circumvent the system. And also, it sounds like that certain pharmacists are probably getting paid for the tests that they do, and the more tests they do, the more they get paid. And so they are obviously checking and they are catching them out as well. So in some ways, that I feel is a good measure, that I'm pleased that, and again, it's just the credibility of people like myself who are not vaccinated, who want to not have compulsory vaccination thrown upon them, and people who are trying to beat the system to get round that, obviously are not doing people like myself any favours, who've had COVID, got over it, but still want the option not to have the vaccine and for their certificate of wellness or recovery certificate to be extended. And this kind of undermines that case for people like myself who feel themselves in that position. Anyway, interestingly as well, very sad story, 8 residents of a private elderly home facility in Patras in the western Greece city, which is the closest city to Zakynthos, died of COVID-19 in the last month. 7 of them had not been vaccinated. Now, the first infections were detected on November 19th, while an additional but unspecified number of residents are currently in hospital in severe conditions. Akia's Deputy Regional Governor, Shramblos Boronos, has said 2 more seniors in the same city facility died from coronavirus in recent years. I'm not exactly sure what coronavirus is. I'm not sure that's a heart condition. I should have really looked that up before I'd done this broadcast. Anyway, he said they had previously tested positive for the virus. Asked whether the nursing home employees had been inoculated, Barras said checks performed on those who have been declared in the Irangi Labour database said that they had been vaccinated. He also said authorities investigating the source of the infection and whether the facility abided by the health protocols required for its operation. So it is surprising then, I've got to be honest, that 7 of their residents weren't vaccinated because, again, obviously their ages to be in these residential nursing homes, they would have obviously been at quite an age, and you thought that they would have been vaccinated initially for that, because they were, shall we say, the most vulnerable. But again, it was their choice whether they had it or not, or whether the staff was not pushing for them to have it. I don't know. But again, it's interesting that they are some of the people that may have slipped through the net who could have been vaccinated. So again, I'm not anti-vax. It's about pro-choice. And if those older people decided no, then I must respect their wishes. But again, it was unusual that they were probably one of the most vulnerable groups that obviously didn't seem to be vaccinated. Also, interestingly, again, Zakynthos story then, as the saga of the shipwreck continues. Last Monday night, the bill on tourism, which includes the controversial provision for the establishment of a shipwreck management committee in Zakynthos, was passed by a majority in the Greek parliament. Now, the Minister of Tourism, Zakynthos, in his last position in the parliamentary procedure on the issue, identified the objects of which the committee will act as follows, which will be the restoration and repair of the ship, support of the rocks of the shipwreck, and the escape route. Now, the escape route, what they mean is at the top where the shipwreck is, it's about the road access in and out. There is danger of fire around that area, and about the routes that people can get in and away from that location. Because trust me, in the middle of summer, that area at the top where the viewing platform is absolutely rammed with traffic and people. And as you saw last year, there were fires, and there is a danger from a fire point of view in that area. And if I remember last year, they did close the viewing platform for a while because of the danger of fire in the area of, or the high risk of fire in the area of the shipwreck. You also remember as well that now a private company, there was talk of a private company that was tendering to actually run the area of the shipwreck. That was obviously, that tender was overruled, and it's now gone into government hands technically to run the management of the shipwreck, which, to be honest, is a cash cow. Anybody who has that location, and again, it's a very controversial area. Again, the church also has a control in that area as well. And it's one of those things that whoever controls that area is going to make an awful lot of money. And again, the shipwreck, for its iconic status within Greek tourism, is very poorly served in comparison to, say, maybe the Acropolis or other major landmarks within Greece. And again, it obviously needs to be, so we say, a lot more done for it in the way to make it much more of an event going to see the shipwreck, especially if you're at the viewing platform at the top, where it's very poorly served for tourism up there, and for parking, and for just general logistics of getting the thousands of people in and out of there over the summer months. And finally, another little bit of a COVID story. As you know, I'm ex-military. I like to keep an eye on what the Greek forces are. I'll be accused of spying next. Data was submitted by the Greek Ministry of Defence yesterday, showing the vaccine coverage for the Hellenic forces. Anyway, it seems that the Navy, they have the highest amount of vaccinated personnel of the three military forces. With the people from the Navy, approximately 72.6% of their permanent staff are vaccinated, whereas the Greek Army, 63.5% are vaccinated there. And as for the Greek Air Force, the Hellenic Air Force, they've got the lowest. At 62% of their personnel. Anyway, it seems that the lawmaker Nikos Papapopoulos said that the percentage of immunity, however, is much higher if you add the people who have recovered and received the relevant certificate. So some of their members have actually had COVID, by the sounds of it, members of the armed forces. They've got, like me, the certificate of recovery. And again, the forces now are looking at the certificate as a recovery, as a legitimate alternative to vaccination. So that makes me kind of smile a bit, while it looks like that I can obviously keep my vaccination certificate. I wish I could keep it for longer without having the risk of having to get it done. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a fantastic time. Thank you to all those people that are tuning in at the moment. I will keep my ear to the ground, and if I hear of anything, I'll let you know. Ta-ra.